So just because many of you have not been following this series of just a little 5-minute going back to the how did we get to this point? So Diti is the mother of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, ideal sons, for Kali Yuga. Yeah. So she was very angry at Indra. Actually, it was Vishnu who killed them. But she knew that to blame Vishnu, that's a little too far. Going a little too far. So I'll blame Indra. He's the one. The amazing thing is, she is blaming Indra. She curses in the previous verses. She says, he's so attached to his body that he wants to protect it. And by killing these wonderful sons of mine, who wanted to devour the universe, and control everyone, and killed millions of people in doing so. So she's condemning Indra for something. Why did he wanted to kill them because they were they were promoting adharma. And she's promoting adharma to protect those who promote adharma. And because she's saying he's attached to his body, she's thinking they came from her body. So there's a very great contradiction, and therefore, as it says here, that artificial behavior. So what is that artificial behavior? In the previous verse, it says, thinking this way, with a desire for a son to kill Indra, Diti began constantly acting to satisfy Kasyapa by her pleasing behavior. O king, Diti always carried out Kasyapa's orders very faithfully, as he desired, with service, love, humility, and control, with words spoken very sweetly to satisfy her husband, and with smiles and glances at him. Diti attracted his mind and brought him under her control. So anyone who's been married, I've heard, in this lifetime, I haven't experienced it, but that there's always some conflict, Chanakya Pandit, there's always some conflict between husband and wife. So when the wife is acting so submissive, so perfectly, even beyond the bounds of Lakshmi, trying to please Narayan, then it's artificial. Kasyapa, being very intelligent, he should have picked up on that. He could have, why is my wife all of a sudden so affectionate? Just like Balaram, being supremely intelligent, when he saw that the cowherd men were letting the cows wander while they were sitting with their sons and smelling their heads and caressing them very affectionately, and the cows wandering around. And what were the cows doing? They were giving milk to the calves, even though the calves had long passed the time when they had begun grazing. So Balaram, something's wrong here. And he approached Krishna, and Krishna explained everything. So Kasyapa is a greatly learned person, but he could not understand. And why? Because even though such a great intelligent personality, doing so many austerities and penances, such a great Brahman, but still he is not a pure devotee of the Lord. He has some affection for Lord Shiva. Of course, we all have affection for Lord Shiva, but as a worshipable deity, as an Ishtadev. Sometimes I see even our devotees who have learned, Krishna says, Mayaiva hitam hitan, that all benefits that the demigods can possibly give are coming from me alone. But still I go to devotees' houses and I see here's Ganesh and Lakshmi, a few others, just in case, I make sure I'm covered. I went to one house of one man in southern Karnataka. What was the name of that? Muki was a town, small beach town. So we went to one devotee, took me there, and he took me to one man's house like a favorable member. He had Gornitai, but then he had pictures of every demigod that you could possibly. Some of them I'd never even heard of, like maybe 150. And at the end, he had Superman. So I asked him, "Why Superman?" So, well, just in case, make sure I have everything covered. I said, "What about Spider-Man?" You have to get everybody in there. Wonder Woman, all the, everyone. This is Krishna is giving us the intelligence. It's not that he does not want us to respect the devas, but he wants us to understand. Well, why is Krishna insisting? Why doesn't he just say, yeah, if you want to worship the devas, go ahead. Mother Shachi worshipped the devas. Many of Lord Chaitanya's associates, Jagannath Mishra, worshipped devas. And so did, so what's wrong? Because a pure devotee may do that in rasa, to increase the rasa. Just like the gopis worshipped Katyayani to get a husband, but because they wanted the husband of Krishna. So they thought, so this is all rasa. But for people who have already wasted, just like Prasad Maharaj said, how long do we actually have for self-realization? The first 5 years, you're playing like children are playing, ignorant of the real purpose of life. Then they go to school and get material education so you can learn how to maintain this body. So many years, no time for self-realization. Then generally they get married, although that's not becoming less popular nowadays, but they get married. And then you have children, responsibilities. And then you have to sleep 6, 7, 8 hours a day, and you have to eat for an hour or 2 hours a day, depending on one's appetite. And you have to rest, and you have to shower and clean yourself. So even in a day of a self-realized person, you lose like 8 to 10 hours a day for self-realization. And if you're doing all those other things, then how much time is there for self-realization, Prahlad Maharaj? Therefore, you must take full advantage of it. So this is why Krishna is emphasizing. In Kali Yuga, we become so bewildered by these bodily demands. And the next verse will get a little more into the bodily demands. So I'll read the next verse, verse number 30. Bilokya ekanta bhutanyado prajapati striyam chakre swa dehadam yayapum sammatirhita. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the beginning of creation, Lord Brahma, the father of the living entities of the universe, saw that all the living entities were unattached. To increase population, he then created woman from the better half of the man's body. For woman's behavior carries away a man's mind. Just before we read the purport, how can that be? How can there only be men? Well, we should remember that Brahma first manifested 7 sages. Those 7 sages were completely detached. So Brahma's thinking, they're so attached that even if I created a detached woman, they would just meditate together. So how will we increase population? So therefore, women must have this characteristic of attraction. Now, nowadays, when modern society wants to make men and women equal, women going to the gym, weightlifting, men taking care of the children, so this is, artificially trying to create an artificial equality. Srila Prabhupada, he put it in a very simple way when he heard about this. He said, "Show me the man who has become pregnant. Then I will believe they are equal." So Srila Prabhupada just went to the extreme, without all these other arguments. Well, women, of course there is some truth that women have been downtrodden. And once the Vedic society and the Vedic influence was ruined by Shringi, he ruined the Brahminical culture, which caused the degradation of society. Because without Brahminical culture, without proper guidance for society, then these things will happen. And people think themselves intelligent. Just like Srila Prabhupada used to say about the Americans. He said they are simply over-intelligent Shudras, over-educated Shudras. Otherwise, in Kali Yuga, we're all Shudras. We're born Shudras. Not even Shudras, most of us. Because Shudras have the quality of being obedient. And we're not even obedient. You want to see how obedient? You just drive in the streets of India. How obedient are people? No one is obedient anywhere. So we're not even good Shudras in Kali Yuga. But even amongst in our fallen conditions, some people are more intelligent, some people know how to manage things. But they use their intelligence for sense gratification and for self-aggrandizement. And they manage everything for my material benefit, so I can make more money and have more power. And Vaishyas are greedy. They hoard everything, and then so many people don't even have enough to eat. And the Shudras are belligerent, meaning they're very violent and they don't obey. So this is modern society. And so this idea of false equality, as it says here in the verse, it says women are made from the better half of men. That means essentially they're better. It's not that not being equal means they're inferior. It doesn't mean that. It means they have other qualities. Srila Prabhupada always said so many times that women are very fortunate because generally they're a little more honest and a little more pious. And therefore they become naturally inclined to worship the Lord. But if they're inclined to do something else, because sometimes they're overcome by their sentiments. So if the sentiments are directed to Krishna, they become much more pious than the men. But if their sentiments are directed somewhere else, then they can cause some difficulty. So, therefore Srila Prabhupada said again and again, women should be protected. That doesn't mean they don't have intelligence. Prabhupada said not intelligent. It doesn't mean they don't have intelligence. It means sometimes their intelligence is covered by sentiment, that's all. But they can be very intelligent. Actually, I saw some statistics, world statistics, that show some of the most intelligent people are men, and some of the least intelligent people are men. And women are generally in between. But some of them are super intelligent also. So, but real intelligence, yenamam upayanti te, means going back home, back to Godhead. That's real intelligence. Otherwise, intelligence to know how to manipulate matter is not very good unless you manipulate it in such a way that is beneficial for Krishna's service. Then it doesn't matter who does it, men, women, whatever, as long as it's being done for Krishna. Purport: the entire universe is going on under the spell of sexual attachment, which was created by Lord Brahma to increase the population of the entire universe, not only in human society, but also in other species. As stated by Rishabdev in the 5th canto, Pumsa striya mituni bhavametam. The entire world is going on under the spell of sexual attraction and desire between man and woman. When man and woman unite, the hard knot of this attraction becomes increasingly tight, and thus a man is implicated in the materialistic way of life. This is the illusion of the material world. This illusion acted upon Kasyapa Muni, although he was very learned and advanced in spiritual knowledge. As stated in the Manu Samhita 2:215 and the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 9:19-17, Matra swasradu hitrava navivikta sano bhavet balavan indriyo gramo vidvamsam apikarshati. A man should not associate with a woman in a solitary place, not even his mother, sister, or daughter, for the senses are so strong that they lead astray even such a person advanced in knowledge. Now one may say, that sounds very perverse. Someone attracted to his mother, sister, his daughter, doesn't sound like a normal person. So that doesn't mean that they would have a relationship with these intimate family members, but it means just the attractive quality. If the daughter, sister, mother happens to be attractive, then it may awaken attraction, which may be directed toward another person. And in some very unusual cases, it may be direct. So, of course, this verse emphasizes how strong this knot is. Pumsa striya mituni bhavametam tayormito hridaya granti. Hridaya granti. The knot within the heart. But the knot is in the heart because many times we refer to the heart as Atma, and the soul as Atma, and the mind as Atma. So it's really a knot in the mind. Otherwise the mind becomes attracted. So going on with that particular verse, Aho griha kshetra sutapta vitaya. That when this knot is there, then what happens? Aho griha. Then one must have a home. You're married, must have a home. Then, aho griha kshetra, you must have a field of activities. You have to have some occupation. And sutta apta, there must be children. Immediately when one gets married, you have ascendants and descendants. You have, all of a sudden you have a new father and a new mother. Well, generally they don't like you. Father-in-law, mother-in-law generally don't like the other person. And I know they always find some defect. This person is not fit to be the husband or the daughter of my son or daughter. And then, because of all that, vitai, you must have money. And now in Kali Yuga, money is so important that previously, money, the only people that had money was basically 1/8 of the population would earn money, the male Vaishyas. And basically 1/8 of the population would control money, which were the Kshatriyas. And everybody else didn't have money. That means 1/4 had money and 3/4 didn't have money. And then if you happen to be a brahmachari or sannyasi or vanaprastha, even if you had the tendency toward those other tendencies, you wouldn't have money either. So it's even more than 3/4 of the population did not have money. They didn't use money. They didn't need it. Now everyone has to have money, and therefore Brahminical culture becomes degraded. Because if a Brahmin has to work to make money, just like I have one god brother, very Brahminical devotee, very Brahminical, like always studying Shastra, always, in every spiritual program. But he got married, and then there was no support, so he had to get a job. He got a job as a university professor, and his wife was also a very intelligent, detached lady. But they had one child, so she worked as a university professor, and they had to work for 20 years until the girl was growing up. And I don't know if she ever got married. That's not very popular in the U.S. And so, but the point is that he could have been a first-class Brahmin, but sometimes we don't maintain the Brahmins properly, and they have to go out and make money, especially in the West. In India, it's a little better. Still there's some respect for the Brahmins, and Brahmins can be taken care of. But then, with the atmosphere that exists, sometimes the Brahmins become attracted to money, or they become attracted to having certain facilities which require more money, and so it's just very complicated. Janasya mohoyam maham mameti. That what happens is, because of this hard knot, there's an increase in false ego. And this ahankara is very, very dangerous, because we all have it. The only people who don't have it are those who are pure devotees of the Lord. And it will always, it's so subtle that it can influence us in so many ways that sometimes we become proud of our humility. And so this is how ahankara works. We become proud of something that is supposed to not have any pride attached to it. And so this particular verse of the Bhagavatam was spoken by Rishabdev to his sons. From the very beginning of his instructions, he said, Nayam deho deha bhajan viloke. That when you are embodied, this body can be very bewildering. Kashtan kaman arhate vidbujam ye. It makes you act like a stool leader, vidbuja. It makes you act like a fool. Otherwise, no human being is attracted to eating stool. One time Srila Prabhupada was speaking about this, and he said, actually, stool has phosphates, fats, which are very tasty. And Prabhupada said, they are experimenting. They must know that it is tasty. Prabhupada said, of course, I have not tasted. And Prabhupada's implying that maybe some, to scientific discovery, you have to taste it. But anyway, we see dogs, hogs, they definitely are attracted to these things. Just like I grew up in the U.S., I never knew that hogs ate stool. I never even saw a hog until I was about 15 years old. But the hog I saw, the first time I saw a cow and a hog, they took me to a farm, but the hogs were eating corn. So I thought hogs eat corn. But then I went to work in Guatemala when I was a student, and that's a little more like India, and the hogs are hogs. They act like hogs. And so I went to the washroom, which is outside washroom, and I saw the hogs. I went running up to your pigs are eating stool. I looked at it, what's wrong? I thought, pigs have gone off course. They're not eating corn. So this is how bewildered we are in modern society. People grow up, even nowadays, even in India, if there weren't a few cows roaming around in the streets, people would not even see cows. They would just see cement and automobiles. So we become very confused in modern society. So Rishabhdev says, because this tendency is there to be bewildered by the senses, even a great person like Kasyapa Muni, tapo divyam putrake yena sattvam. My dear sons, no, tapo divyam, you must do austerity. But what kind of austerity? Divya. It must be transcendental austerity. Artificial austerity, as Rupa Goswami says, artificial austerity, just done for the sake of austerity, will simply harden the heart. It makes our heart very hard, makes the mind very proud. And then Shujyad, Yasmad Brahmasokyam Tonantam. If you do this transcendental austerity, Srila Prabhupada says so many times, especially speaking about that verse, but other verses in the Bhagavatam, he said we must do austerity. No. So what is that austerity? Here we are in a nice air-conditioned auditorium. Not so austere. Of course, sometimes the class in the temple can be a little more austere. The heat can be austere. Then we go seek air conditioning. And when it's too cold, we go seek heat. And when it's like this, we always look for the opposite. So this is duality. So there's no problem in avoiding these things, but if it makes us more comfortable to do devotional service. But if it just is to be more comfortable, then it becomes not devotional service, but bodily service. Let me make my body comfortable. And this is what is happening in modern society. The whole society is based on making the body more comfortable. But to do that, they don't realize they have to do austerity. You have to work 8 hours a day. Just like one time in Central America, El Salvador, one poor country. So I was walking, we had a farm, I was walking, and I saw one man. It's, this housing development, all the houses looked the same. If you didn't paint your house a different color, you wouldn't know which one it was. There's thousands of houses, all built for factory workers. So I saw a man, he had an old truck. I could tell he was a farmer. He was moving his possessions into one of these houses. So I said, so, you came from a farm? Oh, yes. And so you're living here? And, oh, yes, I will work in the factory. I said, but before you probably had maybe 1 hectare. Oh, I had 3 hectares. No. I said, oh, now you have 200 square meters. No. Yes, but now I have electricity and television and running water. And so we spoke, and I said, yeah, but before you had a well with pure water, now you have water full of chemicals. I said, oh, chemicals? Yeah, yes. And then after we finished speaking, he said, maybe I should move back to the farm. No. So this was Prabhupada's idea. Go back to the land. Live on the land. Every family should have a cow. And be very affectionate to the cow. Most people don't know, but if you're very affectionate to your cow, she will give milk even without a calf. I know 4 cows. I know them. Yes, I do know them. And one of our cows in Costa Rica giving milk for 10 years with no calf. Like 4, 5, 6 liters a day. No calf. Just because we were very affectionate. Every day brushing her, taking care. So when the family takes care of the cow, you don't have to have a calf every year. That's industrial dairy. They do this. And then what do they do with the calves? We won't even discuss that in the Bhagavatam. So this modern society is very confused. And so when a man remains in a solitary place with a woman, his sexual desire undoubtedly increase. Sexual desires undoubtedly increase. Therefore, The words ekanta bhutani, which are used here, indicate that to avoid sexual desires, one should women as far as possible. Sexual desire is so powerful that one is saturated with it, even if he stays in a solitary place with any woman, even his mother, sister, or daughter. So, this whole world, as we just heard from Lord Rishabhdev, is going on under this desire. If this desire is not there, then immediately life becomes peaceful. But as long as that desire is pushing us, then we cannot be peaceful unless we are Krishna conscious. Therefore, even the Lord gets married. Even Lord Vamanadev, as it mentions in previous verses, he had a daughter, Vamanadev. So the idea that we can that married life is not, although if you read I think it's the third verse in this chapter, it definitely doesn't speak very favorably about, no, not this, I'm sorry. If you read the third verse of the 5th canto, 5th chapter, it doesn't speak very favorably about married life. But it's talking about attached married life. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada said, our grihastas should be grihasta brahmacharis. Meaning, if you want to have a peaceful married life, then you have relationships only for having children. Otherwise, it won't be peaceful. Guaranteed. The Bhagavatam guarantees it. Now, people may think, no, but I'll be the first one. But how many people have been thinking, I'll be the first one for millions of years? I'll be the first one to follow all these. This is too much restriction. No, I will show them that no, I can have so much external affection and relationship, but I will be peaceful. But I haven't met such a person yet. Maybe there is one somewhere. But generally speaking, to be peaceful means you are dedicated to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter, two letters that I remember. One was to Hayagriva Prabhu, the other was from Madhu Mangal Prabhu. They were saying, I want to get married, Prabhupada. I have desire. And Prabhupada said, if you have desire, you can get married, but that won't take care of the desire. If you want to stop this desire of lust, then you must worship the deity. He said, Mr. Lust will be taken care of by worshiping the deity. Because then your love is directed to Krishna, your affection is directed to Krishna, your desire is directed to Krishna. And then you can live peacefully with your husband or wife, because everything is for Krishna. And whatever attraction is there, it can be taken care of by having children. Once the child comes, then all the affection goes to the child. And then all these desires. So this is the natural solution, which is given by Krishna, which is given by Brahma. Although he created woman for this purpose of increasing population, he didn't do it for increasing lust, for increasing population. Sometimes we think, and therefore Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna says, why is it that sometimes I know I shouldn't do something, but I do it anyway? Any of you had that experience? Probably most everyone. We know we shouldn't do something, but we do it anyway. And if Arjuna asks it, it's because everybody does it. Otherwise, he's representing, 99.5% of us. The other 0.5%, well, they're very special, pure devotees. So, maybe not even 0.5. But, Kamaesha Krodesha Rajaguna Samudbhava. Because of this mode of passion, therefore Krishna throughout Bhagavad Gita, he recommends you should be situated in the mode of good. Everything that Krishna instructs us in Bhagavad Gita is meant to help us live in the mode of goodness. But we're not attached to the mode of goodness. The mode of goodness is the best way you can live. But we're attached to Shuddha Sattva. We're attached to pure goodness. And pure goodness means Krishna consciousness. When one is Krishna conscious, then one conducts one's activities in the mode of goodness. Meaning whatever I have to do in relation to the body, I do it in the mode of goodness. And if someone is in the mode of passion, then one should be under the supervision of someone in the mode of goodness. No. Therefore, Brahmins would instruct, Kshatriyas are very much in passion, and Vaishyas are very much in passion and ignorance. So therefore, the Brahmins would take charity from the kings, just like when when Prithu Maharaj came to meet the 4 Kumaras, when they came to meet him, he offered them his kingdom. They said, no, you keep the kingdom. No. We'll just tell you how to manage it. No. You keep the kingdom. So Brahmins, one time Srila Prabhupada, the devotees said, Srila Prabhupada was saying we need a king. And Prabhupada was talking about taking over the world. So devotees and their enthusiasm, Prabhupada, we will take over the world and we will make you king. No. And Prabhupada said, no, you be king, I will tell you how. No. So, of course, Prabhupada was king, and he still is king, but that's why we call someone like Srila Prabhupada Maharaj, because he's like a king, king of the senses. Swami, Goswami, king of the senses, not king of the people. King of the people because showing them how they should conduct their lives. So, this is very important, how the Bhagavatam is teaching us here. The ladies should not be ditis, they should be aditis. And the men should not be Kasyapa Munis. They should be like our acharyas, as much as possible. And then society will become peaceful. We shouldn't think, because we fall under the illusion, again, because of ahankar, thinking I will create a peaceful condition in my life, in my home. The only way you can do that, because peace is a divine intervention. I will conclude with this. Some people think peace means nature. Nature is not peaceful. No. Nature is not at all peaceful. Nature is jivo jivasya jivanam. The big entity controlling, consuming the little entity. No, you go out in nature, it looks very good, but when you get out there, mosquitoes, bugs, flies, and one entity living, the lizard is eating the bug, the cat is eating the lizard, the dog is chasing the cat. So, jivo jivasya jivanam. There is no peace in nature. Not at all peaceful. Then you have hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes. Where is the peace? The peace is a divine intervention. Peace comes from Krishna consciousness. And Krishna tells us, Bhoktaram jagatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvadubhutanam. When you understand the most important thing, Krishna is your best friend. Krishna is the only person who can give you the best advice. Because Krishna, as he says, that in the beginning of the 10th canto, 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says, Arjuna, I am only speaking to you for your benefit. There's no benefit for me. No. There's no benefit. I'm not benefiting by teaching you. I'm just teaching you for your benefit. No. There's no benefit for me. So, Krishna is our best friend because he's only teaching us for our benefit. And Bhaktaram Jagyatapasam, he's accepting everything. Everything is his, therefore naturally it's meant for him. If I live in a house and I have a servant, the servant can use everything in the house, but it's mine and it's for my benefit. But the servant gets the benefit of servant drives a Rolls-Royce car, and the servant lives in a big mansion, but it doesn't belong to him. So Krishna may give us some wealth or some intelligence or some qualities, but we have to use them in his service. Then they become beneficial. Otherwise, they will work against us. Anything that is not used in Krishna's service will work against you and will cause you misery. Guaranteed. Anything. Intelligence, money, any quality you may have. You may be a good poet, you may be a good intellectual, but you will do it for pleasing the ahankar, unless you do it for Krishna. Doesn't matter, even the greatest altruists, the greatest humanitarians, they're always thinking, then people will glorify me. People will think I'm a nice person. But a devotee, and my conclusion is, the one devotee that I knew that didn't care what anybody thought was Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Whatever Prabhupada told him, he would do it. And it didn't matter if he stepped on somebody's toes. Because Prabhupada would say, you do this. And he knew, he told me, he said the first time Prabhupada told him to do something very heavy, he knew some devotees would get angry at him. But he said, Prabhupada told me. No. Sometimes Krishna tells us some things to do, people will become envious of us. But because Krishna tells us to do it, we do it. We don't think about, we do it in the best way possible, so that people will know. This Krishna instructs us also in Bhagavad Gita, you should act in such a way that is not disturbing to others. But because everyone in Kali Yuga is disturbed, it's very difficult not to disturb them. You just try to serve Krishna, and you just like Srila Prabhupada said, what was Prahlad Maharaj's fault? He wanted to please Krishna. That was his fault. And his father became so disturbed, and the teachers became so disturbed. So we try to distribute books. Some people become disturbed. Why are you bothering me? No. Why are you stopping me? Why are you trying to give me this book? No. Especially in the West. Here it's a little easier to distribute a book. Sometimes in the West, you offer it, people become very disturbed. And so, but we don't care. We don't want to disturb them, but we must do what Krishna says. And sometimes our family becomes disturbed. No. Just like sometimes one member of the family becomes very Krishna conscious, and that disturbs the Maya atmosphere. And so Krishna consciousness means we just want to please Krishna. And sometimes that may disturb someone else, but with all due respect to that person, we must please Krishna. And whatever the result is, we leave that to Krishna. Sometimes our false ego needs a little tuning, so Krishna will put us together with a disturbed person, and we'll see how we can not be disturbed, teaching us how to not be disturbed. So disturbing people teach us, no one likes a disturbing person. And therefore we should learn, therefore let me not disturb anyone, as Krishna instructs. Let me give them Krishna consciousness. Even though they may think I'm disturbing them, I'm actually benefiting them. Just like the doctor will disturb you. Prabhupada gave this example again. Will disturb you. Say, don't eat this. Don't do this. That's disturbing. But the doctor is doing it to benefit us. So preaching Krishna consciousness, practicing Krishna consciousness, sometimes people will become disturbed. And we should try to help them understand that the disturbance is coming from you, not from me. I'm giving you Krishna. I'm serving Krishna. If you're disturbed by that, then that's your problem. It's not my problem. So, therefore, being a devotee sometimes is very demanding, very difficult. But we do it because this is what Krishna wants. And we take that risk of even disturbing someone to give them Krishna consciousness. So these are some thoughts on these verses. I'll stop here. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, yesterday I was reading prayers of Kunti Maharani. So I was just reading that verse in which Kunti Maharani says that those who have very much opulent life, bodily beauty and everything, they cannot approach the Lord with sincere feelings. But so I was just wondering at that time that scripture says that if we cannot attain perfection in this one lifetime, if we cannot go back home, back to God, then we'll get another birth in a very rich aristocratic family where we'll have all the facilities. But here Kunti Maharani is saying that these things are like, big stones on the path of our advancement in spiritual life. So how can we understand this?
Well, the objective is to please Krishna. Srila Prabhupada said, I know that I will have to take crores of births in his prayer to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But let me do so in your service. That's what basically he was saying. But one time a devotee said to Srila Prabhupada that, Srila Prabhupada, I'm ready to take birth after birth in your service. And Prabhupada said, no, you should want to go back home, back to Godhead. So otherwise Prabhupada could see this person was not on the platform of being willing to take birth after birth. He was just saying that. Because that's what Narottam Das Thakur says. That's what. So the point is that first we should become pure, and then we can have these elevated. We can have this elevated way of thinking. So a devotee, on the other hand, when we get instructions in spiritual life, then even if following that instruction means that I will have to take another birth, then it's authorized. We can say, my Lord, even to fulfill your desire, I'm willing to take another birth. But it doesn't mean we want to. As Prabhupada detected in that devotee that he was trying to justify some sense gratification. And therefore he said, no, first you should try to become liberated. So Prabhupada said both things. And so it depends on how capable we are in Krishna consciousness. And we don't worry about taking another birth, and we do worry about taking another birth. Srila Prabhupada gave one class on the 12th canto that I know of, which was never, it was recorded, but somehow or another it never made it into the transcribed classes. And he was, well, it wasn't really about the 12th canto, he was quoting the 12th canto. And he said, he started describing how the living entities were. And he said, therefore, you must get out of this samsara in this lifetime. He said, otherwise, it will become very miserable. So, of course, one may think, well, if I have to take another birth, Kali Yuga won't get that bad. Maybe right after I leave my body. Certainly it won't get that bad. But just look at our world situation. All kinds of world leaders, attacking another country, doing this, threatening this. We don't even know what can happen. Certainly we know that Kali Yuga will play out. but we don't know what will it be like. You know. Just like all these futuristic movies, they have like everything's a desert and there's only a few survivors. But it's very interesting that science fiction has been terribly accurate. You know, just like there was one famous British author, Jules Verne. He spoke about submarines and going to the moon. You know, this is like in the late 1800s and early 1900s. There were no submarines, but it happened. So somehow or another he had some vision. And so, even though some of these things may be, you know, these science fiction authors, they may be, you know, a lot of imagination. There may be some inspiration there, a little warning. You know. Just like Srila Prabhupada in 1974, he said there would be a world war. And devotees were very concerned. And the next year they came back. They said, Prabhupada, what happened to the war? And Prabhupada said, Krishna changed his mind. You know. And Prabhupada said, because we are doing Sankirtan. So that's how powerful Sankirtan is. That's how powerful devotional service is. It can change the course of history, or they change the course of destiny. And because Krishna, Prabhupada said that, Krishna can do anything. He can change anything. So even the combined karmic destiny of this world can be modified by the power of devotional service. And that may be part of Krishna's plan already, which he doesn't reveal. But because he knows his devotees will become very powerful. So actually the world is in a very precarious situation. Not only people are going to hell, but some leaders want to help them go to hell more quickly. You know? And so making all kinds of plans. So we have to be more and more determined to spread Krishna consciousness. And that is actually our liberation and our guarantee to go back home, back to Godhead, just by spreading Krishna consciousness. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. I can do my question in Spanish.
Okay.
Cuando uno toma el tercer verso del Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam como si uno quiere tomarlo como una bandera en la vida y como una meta en la vida, y uno quiere que todos los actos que uno o las decisiones que uno toma en la vida sean dirigidos a través de Srinada Pishunisena, ¿cómo uno puede diferenciar en los momentos de prueba en la vida que uno no está tomando decisiones sumido en el Ahamkara, sino tomando como bandera el tercer verso del Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam?
The question is, why don't you say the question in English? The question is that how do we distinguish, basically the question is how do we distinguish reality, if something is real or if something we're really acting in Krishna consciousness, really acting properly, or it's simply illusion caused by the illusory energy. How do we know? And how do we know is that we act according to Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. Therefore, these three things are mentioned. Now, we may think that I'm following the Guru. And many people think I'm following the Guru, but they may not be following the Guru. And many people think they're following Shastra, but they may be misinterpreting Shastra. Therefore, all three things should be there. Shastra, Guru, and the sadhus who practice Krishna consciousness. And they make sure that if we take advantage of all three sources, then we can be pretty sure. And then we also do like we're doing now. We ask questions to our Guyang Akyati Prachiti. We ask, we reveal our mind, and we accept that someone helps us to understand things better. And that keeps us on course, going back home, back to Godhead.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Actually, in this verse, it was mentioned that the woman was produced from the better half of the man's body. I could not understand. And may I ask another question also?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what part of the anatomy he was talking about, but it just basically means that women actually have very virtuous qualities. But they also have this ability to represent Maya. So, if a woman is properly protected, then she will manifest her virtues, and that attractive quality will help increase population. But it won't become a source of lust. So that's the ideal situation that Varnashram, Vedic society, promotes. By women being protected, women being properly educated. As Srila Prabhupada said, the chastity of a woman is the most powerful thing, the most powerful external force in this world. And the chastity, just like in every species of life, it is the chastity factor, which is mechanical in the animals. But the animals, generally speaking, in animal species, the male is always ready to reproduce, but it is controlled by the mechanical chastity of the female. And so, but in human beings, that chastity has to come from the mind and the heart. It's not a mechanical thing.
Thank you, Maharaj. May I ask one more question?
Well, there's a couple more questions, a couple more people that wanted to ask. So.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dhanur Pram. So when we hear Bhagavatam class, read scriptures, we tend to analyze ourselves that are we really advancing, and we sometimes come to the conclusion that yes, I am conditioned, I am fallen, I am not doing so well. But at the same time, how can we understand if we are getting humble or we are just faking it, if we are pretending or if we are really advancing? So how can we realize really for sure?
We have to take advantage of all the Krishna consciousness, all the teachings and everything that we're receiving. That's how we can be sure. Otherwise, Kali Yuga, there's so many temptations and so many very wrong conceptions of life. Almost everything is wrong. Everything they teach in schools is basically wrong. The whole material science, technology, it's all meant to create disturbance. Everything is meant, just like technology. You look at any technology, and even if it's the best technology, just like yesterday I went for a hearing test, and I was noticing it said, disposal of biohazardous materials. So you figure how many hospitals are there? How much biohazardous material, and where is it going to end up? Nobody thinks about that. All the plastic that we're using, nobody thinks about where will it end up? In some river, in some ocean. Just like in Vrindavan, I see oceans of plastic. It's like there's some places where you only see plastic. It's horrible. But everybody keeps using it. So the point is, as long as we live in this society which is just governed by greed and desire for for enjoying material nature. The only answer to how to is chant Hare Krishna. Chant Hare Krishna, man mana bhava mad bhakto mam yaji mam namaskuru. Worship Krishna, think of Krishna, become Krishna's devotee. And namaskar. Namaskar doesn't mean just offering obeisances. It means obeying Krishna. Obey Krishna. And then we will go back home, back to Godhead. And if we can obey Krishna, then we should teach others to obey Krishna. And then our how-to questions will be answered. How to be Krishna conscious. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
So this.
Thank you very much Maharaj. Wonderful lectures and some practical and personal applications. But my question is that, as you said that some person is disturbed because he is disturbed. And when we are preach Krishna conscious, someone is disturbed. But this is not my problem. But sometimes we see that in ground reality that many of the persons, when we approach tightly, so we give the Krishna conscious to him, but he goes anti of ISKCON because of our bad approach. When we are approaching someone, then what kind of our approach to him, so that he is not go against ISKCON and some societies like that, the ISKCON and other Sanatan dharmas. How can I approach someone when he is already disturbed?
Well, if people are disturbed, the only solution is Krishna. But sometimes they're disturbed by Krishna. So we just give them Krishna. It may disturb them temporarily, but if they get a book, if they get some prasadam, if they get some, they will be benefited. And just the same thing, just like a young child, they're disturbed when you try to give them something beneficial. So people who are in their spiritual infancy, or even not even spiritually born yet, they're in the womb of spirituality. So they'll get a benefit, but they'll be disturbed at the same time. A devotee takes that chance. And that's all we can do. Because some people are disturbed by Krishna. Just like I don't know about here in India, but in the West, some Christian organizations, they buy our books to teach everyone what they should be against. But they get benefited. So I've seen that. I spoke to one preacher, and he started quoting Bhagavad Gita, but in the wrong way. Trying to say, your Krishna says this and this. He just found some things which he thought were disturbing about what Krishna said. And I just said, what's wrong with that? And I tried to explain it, but he'd never, he was determined that he knew Bhagavad Gita and he could understand how Krishna was wrong. So, point is that he was so disturbed by Krishna, there's no way I could say anything. So I just said Hare Krishna and walked away. That's all I could do. So anyway, I think we'll have to stop here. Okay, one more quick question, hopefully.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And you speak in Spanish, something I couldn't understand. La persona importante u destacada cu disease conquer esta equi. Puedes reunirte con ella ahora después de clase. El esta equi.
I'm not sure I fully understood that. Can you show it to me?
Yeah, sure.
It'll be easier for me to answer it. You'll have to work a little bit on your Spanish pronunciation. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much for your kind attention. All glory to Srila Prabhupada, Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga, Thai Gaur Premanandi, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
His Holiness Guru Prasad Swami Maharaj ki jai. So wonderful, beautiful, serene lecture by Maharaj. We really thank Maharaj and we hope and pray that we get association of Maharaj in the coming months, years and in future. And so very, very thankful to Maharaj for such a beautiful lecture on such a difficult topic as of today. और इसके साथ ही आज का जो प्रसादम है वो फूड फॉर लाइफ ऑफिस के सामने हम लोग मना रहे हैं दही चिड़ा फेस्टिवल। तो इसलिए आज खिचड़ी नहीं है, आज है दही चिड़ा। तो इसलिए जल्दी से पहुंच जाइए अपना दही चिड़ा का जो शेयर है वो लेने के लिए। और आज संडे की शुरुआत, इतनी सुंदर शुरुआत के बाद ये सुंदर जो संडे है वो ऐसे ही चलता रहे। आप लोग सेवाओं में और अलग अलग क्लास